Well, it's Saturday the 27th of July. We are now entering Leo season, and Mercury moves direct on the 31st. As Channy Nicholas puts it, we now have a short period of the most enthusiastic space weather of the year. This is episode 1917 of 301 Permanently Moved Online, a personal podcast 301 seconds in length, written, recorded, and edited in 1 hour by me at the JMO. Sorry I didn't get this episode up earlier. It's been a busy week and I'm still recovering from sonar allergy. There's a full report up on my blog if you know where to find it. There was a piece on Medium last month called What Would Your Teenage Self Think of You by Timothy Kreider. It's a wonderful piece and I really encourage you to read it. I'll link it in the show notes. It's a really thoughtful essay from someone steeped in Gen X. Here's a quote. Since we were demographically negligible, no one much bothered pandering to us, so as far as we were concerned, corporate entertainment, network sitcoms, Hollywood movies, and top 40 radio was to be ignored, disdained, or derided as a mass-produced, lowest common denominator crap for boring consumers, for normals, what kids now call basic. End quote. I would point out that it's Gen X that have built the nightmare surveillance scape around us, but it's a great description and has a lot of truth in it. Whilst I'm technically quote-unquote millennial, I prefer the subdemographic of Generation Y, or millennials that remember a time before the internet. Because I was a hardcore punk, I have always felt I have more in common with the sensibilities of Gen X than millennial life, particularly related to the concept of selling out, which the essay focuses on. The post also begins with a discussion of zines, which I also love. Anyway, I bring this all up as the title alone is worth talking about. It's also a thought experiment therapists play with their clients. What would my teenage self think of me? It was my birthday on Thursday, so it seems like a good time as any to reflect, to have a theoretical discussion with my past self. I'm a dreamer, full of hopes, dreams, and fears for the future, so I've always had some sense of direction of travel and tried to follow that flow. If I was somehow in a room with my teenage self, 14 or 17, it doesn't really matter, except with one important detail, my Crohn's disease. Above all, I think I'd be shocked that I don't have a single tattoo, but would be happy with the amount of piercings that I have, and I'd be amused by the fact that I wear a studded belt with my suit to job interviews and important meetings. A total power move. I'd immediately want to know how Star Wars turned out. See episode 1914 on media properties not being your friend, and I'd be disappointed. I'd be tickled that Robert Jordan died before he finished The Wheel of Time, and that there was a period when I worked in a bookshop, and I'd tell people who had slogged through 11 books with barely disguised glee. I'd scowl at the fact that I'm no longer in a punk band, but I'd understand. I'd admonish him for his years of his anti-earplug stance, call him a moron, and then ask him to speak up a little. I still don't wear brands in the main, but I'd be surprised that I do wear Adidas. The fact that I'm still wearing Merrell Chameleon Slam 2s wouldn't surprise me, but I'd be saddened that the quality of each pair has decreased over the years. I don't think that I'd be surprised by the state of the world around me. In fact, I'd probably be shocked that it wasn't a lot worse yet already. Mass migrations and water wars are yet to come. He'd tell me, no mistakes, no regrets, and I'd say that he'd soften on that approach over time, adding the line, just missed opportunities. You can't live your life as an asshole forever. It's just not worth it. I tell him to remove toxic people from my life sooner rather than later, and that apologies, however hard, are good, actually. My 17-year-old self would probably cry when I told him that as of my birthday this week, I'd finally come off my immunity suppressant medication after taking it for a further 17 years, no more blood tests and fear of killing my liver, and that the brush with death and his stoic acceptance of having an incurable chronic autoimmune disease will shape everything that lays ahead. I'd tell him of all the deep pain, trauma, and tears that are still ahead too, and that his stubborn manner of facing the future was or is still the best way forward, even if he would question that approach in his darker moments. We'd agree that it was fairly good news that I wasn't dead yet, and life was worth living. And he would be glad that my family still has its happiness and health, that fortune still smiles even when one goes through the darkness. But we are happy, and our family love each other very much, and I tell him that I am happy, and laugh in bed with someone I love every single day. That ashen wastelands can be walked out of, that there is a lot of work ahead, and it's solely his responsibility to get it done, one thing after another. And getting organised is a learned behaviour, not a natural one. He would see that I am more myself now than ever before, not measuring myself against others and what they may think. That spirit burns bright in all people, and they illuminate their own paths, and that your own torch can't touch their shadows. And finally, I tell him that the future feels exactly the way I thought it would, that some hopes and dreams materialise, the universe works the way I suspect it does, and the plan is, and always will be, the same. Escape from prison, save the world, and get the girl.